Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SW Metro official channel.
Kody Brown at the center of it all. His relationships with his four wives, Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn, have been strained by financial struggles, favoritism, and emotional neglect. However, in a shocking turn of events, Kody finally made the drastic decision to kick Robyn and her children out of their shared home, citing their excessive financial burden as the primary reason. This move stunned viewers, as Robyn had long been perceived as Kody's favorite wife, the one who could do no wrong in his eyes. Yet, as the family's financial woes deepened and tensions reached a boiling point, even Robyn's privileged position couldn't shield her from the consequences of their unsustainable lifestyle. The financial strain of Robyn's household. From the beginning, Robyn's entry into the family came with significant financial costs. Kody divorced his first wife, Mary, to legally marry Robyn so he could adopt her children from a previous marriage. This decision not only created emotional rifts but also added legal and financial responsibilities. Over the years, Robyn's spending habits became a point of contention among the wives. Unlike Janelle, who was frugal and financially savvy, or Christine, who managed a household on a tight budget, Robyn seemed to enjoy a more lavish lifestyle. Reports surfaced that she had a penchant for expensive jewelry, designer items, and a larger home than the other wives. The Browns' financial troubles were no secret, constantly moving, accumulating debt, and struggling to maintain four separate households took a toll. However, Robyn's household consistently appeared to be the most financially draining. Kody spent the majority of his time with Robyn, which meant her home became the de facto family hub, requiring more resources. Additionally, Robyn's children were enrolled in private schools, participated in costly extracurricular activities, and lived in a home with a higher mortgage than the other wives. As the family's income sources, reality TV paychecks, MLM ventures, and sporadic business attempts, failed to keep up with their expenses, resentment grew. The breaking point, Kody's ultimatum. The final straw came when the family faced yet another financial crisis. With dwindling sister wives' earnings and failed business ventures, Kody was forced to re-evaluate their living situation. The other wives had already begun distancing themselves. Christine left, Janelle became more independent, and Mary was emotionally checked out. Robyn, however, continued to expect the same level of financial support despite the family's dire situation. According to insiders, Kody finally confronted Robyn about the unsustainable costs of maintaining her household. He allegedly presented her with spreadsheets detailing how much more money was being spent on her and her children compared to the rest of the family. The numbers were staggering: higher grocery bills, luxury purchases, and mounting credit card debt tied to Robyn's expenses. Despite her protests and emotional pleas, Kody reportedly gave her an ultimatum: either drastically cut back or move out. Robyn, accustomed to being the obedient wife who always had Kody's favor, was blindsided. She argued that her children needed stability and that downsizing would disrupt their lives. However, Kody, now facing pressure from the other wives and the reality of their financial collapse, stood firm. In a dramatic turn, he told Robyn that if she couldn't adhere to a strict budget, she and her kids would have to leave. The aftermath: Robyn's eviction and family fallout. The decision sent shockwaves through the family. Robyn, who had always positioned herself as the peacemaker and Kody's most loyal partner, was now on the receiving end of his frustration. Sources close to the family revealed that she initially refused to believe Kody would follow through, but when he began making arrangements for her to vacate the house, reality set in. The other wives had mixed reactions. Christine, who had long felt sidelined by Robyn's favoritism, reportedly saw it as karma. Janelle, always pragmatic, acknowledged that the financial imbalance had to be addressed, though she expressed sympathy for Robyn's kids. Mary, who had endured years of neglect from Kody, remained mostly silent, perhaps recognizing that Robyn was finally experiencing the rejection she had faced for so long. Robyn and her children were forced to move into a smaller rental property, a far cry from the spacious homes they had grown accustomed to. The humiliation was compounded by public scrutiny, as fans of the show speculated about the reasons behind the sudden change. Some applauded Kody for finally holding Robyn accountable, while others criticized him for abandoning her after years of preferential treatment. The bigger picture: Kody's failed polygamous experiment. This dramatic expulsion underscored the deeper issues within the Brown family. Kody's vision of a harmonious polygamous life had crumbled under the weight of financial instability, favoritism, and emotional neglect. His inability to manage resources fairly among his wives created an environment of competition and resentment. Robyn, once the golden wife, became the scapegoat for Kody's financial mismanagement. In the end, Kody's decision to kick out Robyn and her kids wasn't just about money. It was a desperate attempt to regain control over a family that had long since slipped away from him. Whether this move will lead to a full breakdown of their marriage or force a much-needed restructuring of the family's dynamics remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the illusion of the perfect polygamous life has been shattered, and the Browns will never be the same. Conclusion: Kody Brown's choice to remove Robyn and her children from their home marks a pivotal moment in the sister-wives saga. What started as a fairy tale plural marriage has devolved into a cautionary tale about financial irresponsibility, favoritism, and the consequences of unequal treatment. While Robyn's expulsion may have been framed as a cost-cutting measure, it reflects deeper fractures in the family structure. As fans await the next season to see how this drama unfolds, one thing is certain: the Browns' days of polygamous harmony are long gone, and the fallout from Kody's decisions will continue to ripple through their lives for years to come. Kody Brown at the center of multiple marriages, financial struggles, and emotional conflicts. Among his wives, Robyn Brown has often been perceived as the favorite, receiving preferential treatment in terms of resources, time, and emotional support. However, what if the very favoritism that once secured Robyn's place in the family ultimately led to her downfall? In a shocking turn of events, Kody finally reaches his breaking point and makes the unthinkable decision to kick Robyn and her children out of the house, not because of personal conflicts or lost love, but because they were simply too expensive to maintain. The financial strain of favoritism. From the beginning, Robyn's entry into the family came with significant financial burdens. Unlike the other wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine, who had contributed to the family's income over the years, Robyn arrived with substantial debt, including a maxed-out credit card and lingering financial obligations from her previous marriage. Despite this, Kody prioritized her needs, even at the expense of the other wives. He financed her expensive tastes, from her lavish wedding dress to the disproportionately large share of the family budget allocated to her household. As the years passed, the financial imbalance became impossible to ignore. While Janelle and Christine worked to support the family, Robyn's contributions remained minimal. She occasionally dabbled in small business ventures, such as her failed jewelry line, but never generated enough income to offset her expenses. Meanwhile, Kody's own financial decisions, such as the disastrous move to Flagstaff, Arizona, and the ill-fated purchase of Coyote Pass, left the family in dire straits. The other wives grew increasingly resentful as they watched their resources funneled into Robyn's home while their own children went without. The breaking point. The final straw came when Kody was forced to confront the reality of their financial ruin. With multiple mortgages, dwindling income from the show, and the rising costs of Robyn's lifestyle, private schooling for her children, luxury purchases, and an ever-growing list of demands, the math no longer added up. The other wives had already begun distancing themselves, with Christine leaving and Janelle questioning her place in the family. Mary, though still emotionally tethered to Kody, had long been financially independent, leaving Robyn as the last remaining dependent. One fateful evening, after reviewing the family's bank statements, Kody snapped. The numbers were undeniable: Robyn's household was draining the family dry. In a heated confrontation, he laid out the cold, hard truth: they could no longer afford her. The McMansion she lived in, the endless shopping sprees, the expensive extracurricular activities for her kids, it was all unsustainable. Robyn, who had always relied on Kody's protection, was stunned. She pleaded, cried, and even attempted to shift blame onto the other wives, but Kody, for once, stood firm. The fallout. The decision sent shockwaves through the family. Robyn, who had once been untouchable, was now facing the same instability the other wives had endured for years. Forced to leave the family home, she scrambled to find a new living situation, but without Kody's financial backing, her options were limited. Her older children, who had grown accustomed to a privileged lifestyle, struggled to adjust to the sudden downgrade. Meanwhile, the other Brown children, many of whom had long resented Robyn's preferential treatment, watched with a mix of vindication and sadness. Kody, now free from the financial anchor of Robyn's household, attempted to reconcile with Janelle and Mary, but the damage was done. The trust was broken, and the family's foundation had crumbled. Fans of the show speculated whether this was the beginning of the end for the Brown family as viewers knew it. A lesson in equality and accountability. In the end, Kody's decision to remove Robyn from the home was not just about money, it was about the consequences of long-standing favoritism. For years, he had enabled her financial dependence, ignoring the strain it placed on the rest of the family. When reality could no longer be ignored, he made the brutal but necessary choice to cut ties. The story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unequal relationships, whether in polygamy or any other family structure. When one member is allowed to take far more than they give, resentment builds, and eventually, the entire system collapses. For the Browns, Robyn's expulsion was a harsh but inevitable result of years of financial mismanagement and emotional imbalance. As the dust settled, one question remained: could the family ever recover from this final betrayal, or was this the breaking point that would finally dissolve the last threads of their plural marriage? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: Kody's decision to prioritize finances over favoritism had changed the family forever.